Welcome to the Midweek Tease with me, Adelle Onyango, where I share some random and not too random thoughts on things. And in this episode, let's talk about giving yourself grace. So first and foremost, let me just start by apologizing that you're getting this late. What was going on is that I was giving myself grace. I overestimated how much I could get done while grieving my uncle and being part of the funeral preparations and the actual funeral and the cremation and all of this. I was doing all of this while shooting season 4 for Mannerless Women. Yeah, I think a few hours to the funeral, I sent my colleague a message and I just said, hey, I think I overestimated my capacity and there's going to be quite a few things that are going to be late. Please just align internally. And I just gave myself grace. I gave myself grace because, dudes, grief is something, and being there for my cousins who I deeply love required all my attention as well. And so I gave myself grace, which made me remember something that was said to me in the final episode of Difference She Makes. I sat down with a South African human rights lawyer. Her name is Sibongile, and she spends her life doing some incredibly serious work. I don't know if you've watched the episode. If you've not, we've linked it in the description. Please go and check it out because she's like challenging institutions, confronting legal systems that fail women. She's pushing for accountability, not just in South Africa, like across the continent. She works in Kenya, in Malawi, in Egypt, across the continent. But the line she said that stayed with me the most is this: we must be gentle with each other, but first, let us be gentle with ourselves. We must always be gentle with ourselves. And like when she said it, I still remember getting very emotional during that, filming session because I struggle with being gentle with myself. I've made progress. I'm not as bad as I used to be, but it's still like a struggle, like even you getting this episode later than I wanted you to have it. In the past, I would be like, oh my God, I'm such a failure. I'm useless. I'm this, that, and the other. I would just be like shaming myself. But this time I just said, sister, you're human. And then I remembered Sibongile's message of just giving yourself grace. And I thought, I need to give myself grace. And if I'm struggling with it, maybe you are too. And if there's something I know about us, the women in this community, is that we're very, very good at being strong, but we're not always very good at being gentle with ourselves, and I think many women move through life with this internal voice that is harsher than anything anyone would say to us in person. You make a mistake and your mind immediately goes to like, what is wrong with me? How could I have done that? I should have known better, and just like punching at yourself. Psychologists who study self-compassion have found something really interesting that I want to share with you. There's research from a psychology called Dr. Kristen Neff, and it shows that self-compassion doesn't make people complacent, right? So if you think that treating yourself with grace and being more gentle with yourself is going to make you more lazy or more unmotivated, the research shows what it does is it actually makes us more resilient. It shows that people who practice self-compassion take more responsibility for mistakes, recover from failure faster, and are less likely to spiral into shame, right? And, bringing in that S word, shame will say, I am the problem. But when we include self-compassion and give ourselves grace, what we say is, I made a mistake and I can learn from it. These are two very different things, right? And sometimes we step back from or resist being gentle with ourselves because we think doing that means we're lowering our standards. But like, gentleness doesn't mean avoiding accountability. As I've said, the research shows something completely different, that the people who practice self-compassion take more responsibility for mistakes, right? So it's about correcting without humiliating yourself. So it means you start saying, that didn't go how I hoped, instead of saying, I always mess things up, right? Someone whose work I love around shame, because I know, especially during my divorce, I spent a ton of my time reading up Brené Brown's work on shame. And there's research that she does that shows shame actually shuts down growth. When we feel shame, our brain moves into threat mode. And when we're in threat mode, we're less creative, we're less reflective, we are less capable of solving problems, we're shutting down growth. So gentleness actually regulates the nervous system. And so from where I sit, if you give yourself gentleness that then regulates your nervous system, it means a regulated woman then becomes a powerful, powerful woman. Now, back to Sibongile's episode and the conversation I had with her, I just love that how she framed it is that she paired gentleness with something else. She talked about being unwavering. Please go watch that episode, being unwavering, and unwavering in your values, unwavering in your vision, unwavering in the world you're trying to build. That's important. But in the process, you've got to be gentle with yourself. And I think many of us are doing the opposite. We are so soft with the world, so soft, empathetic with the world. We don't shame the people around us. But then when it comes to ourselves, we are so brutal with ourselves. We forgive everybody else. But when it comes to our mistakes, our own mistakes, we show no mercy. And so that's what I'm inviting you to flip this week, right? How's about you hold yourself the way you hold the people that you love? So here's something that you can try this week. When something doesn't go the way you hoped, instead of asking, what's wrong with me? Because that invites shame to answer, start asking, what happened here? That small shift flips shame into curiosity. And when you lead with curiosity, growth lives there, because then you'll be like, oh, okay, maybe I just didn't plan my time right, or maybe I overstacked things there. All right, my to-do list needs to be shorter, or maybe I'm in a season where a lot of things were going on. I overestimated what I could handle. I'm going to be careful about that in the future. That's what I deduced from my week, trying to juggle personal family matters while still showing up for work. When you lead with curiosity, you can still hold yourself accountable. You can still aim high, but you don't have to punish yourself in the process. So if you needed a reminder, here it is. You can be disciplined. You can be ambitious. You can be unwavering. And you can still be gentle with yourself. These things are not opposites. In fact, they might be exactly what allows you to keep going. So if you haven't watched the final episode of Difference She Makes, do check it out. It's quite an inspiring conversation with Sibongile, and so timely. Who knew I would have needed that conversation for me to get through the week that I had with Grace? So I hope you connected with this episode. If you did, please share it with someone that you love. Thanks for listening to the Midweek Tease, a Legally Clueless Africa production. Episodes go out every Wednesday, and you can learn more about us by going to legallycluelessafrica.com.